Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad podcast with Chris Finn, a production of P4S Golf. Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and I am here with a very special guest, my good friend who always has to pay me money on the golf course, Riley Smyth. Riley, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
For sure, and I appreciate you not correcting the statement that you always pay me. Because we'll just say that may not be 100% true. Actually, it's definitely not 100%. It's 100% not true. But Riley, I'm excited to have you here. I think a lot of our listeners, we talk a lot about the physical side. You are actually the fastest woman that I've ever seen in person. Fastest non-long drive woman I've ever seen. We have had some long drivers who swing faster, but they cheat. They have longer drivers, But Riley obviously had a super successful career locally. I've known Riley since junior year of high school. A couple new hips, a couple hip cleanups in the hips. Riley to me is, those of you who don't know Riley, very successful junior career here in the Raleigh-Cary area, North Carolina. Played at the University of Virginia. And just completed her first, half year on tour because she graduated. She did this thing called school, got an education. So excited to kind of hear how that first year went. I think a lot of people always are interested in like the behind the scenes kind of aspects of that. We've had Jenny Chang and Gina Kim on, and they kind of talked less about that transition out of college. And so I'm excited since that's fresh for you. And then also we got to get into clubhead speed. And what is your clubhead speed at right now?
On course around 110. I've maxed it out at 112.8, I believe.
Which is ridiculously fast for a woman. Just for all of you, it's actually faster than most men. So, and I can attest when we go play, a lot of the guys ask to play the tee up and make her play the back tees. But so I guess the first question, obviously, decorated amateur. Now you're professional. Like, what is it like going from college to on the road? And like, how did you manage that? Like, just talk about the golf experience. We'll get into all the physical stuff, but what was that like?
It was a massive adjustment. I mean, just going from college where everything is set up by the coaches, from practices at home to all the travel, all accommodations, practice rounds, dinner reservations, even just adjusting to having to do it all on my own while also figuring out how to play professionally and try and actually make money and using that money to pay for all the expenses.
I mean, you don't just get to keep all the money you make?
Unfortunately, no. It's basically all of my earnings on course this year are long gone in the expenses.
I think that's an important point that people don't realize, right? Mm-hmm. Like they'll look at number 100 or like somebody makes like $100,000. Mm-hmm. They're like, whoa, 6 figures. They are rolling in the dough. Like just get a list of like, what are the different expense categories that people don't realize? Like obviously like food or stuff, but like what else?
Yeah. So, I mean, you have your hotel, you have, if you fly, you have both your flights and a rental car. You have all your food for the week. If you do drive, typically you'll have some tolls. You have gas, and then also any expenses in terms of maintaining your car if you're driving everywhere. Mm-hmm. Where I put on about 10,000 miles on my car this summer. And so, that's
a lot of miles in 3 months.
Yep. And also, so then that's 2 oil changes right there. And then also on top of it, you have entry fees and caddy expenses if you do have one.
And what about like balls? Are you at a point now where you get all that stuff for free, or are you still having
yeah. So I do get.
So how come I don't get any? We got to renegotiate this thing where I get some balls.
I do have a couple extra because I don't play any 4s. So
if they happen to find their way, I won't say anything. I'm just, I swear.
But I still do have to pay for clubs. And then as of right now, I don't have any sponsors outside of
any sponsors listening. She's a good one to put your money on.
Outside of balls, gloves, shoes. Right. I fortunately do have Titleist and FootJoy for that.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, so everything does just add up very quickly.
Right. So what was the biggest? Obviously, now you're basically running your own business. You are traveling all over the country. You're on your own. You have to organize everything. Obviously, we help you with the fitness stuff, but you've always been pretty good with that. What to you was, if you had to pick the single biggest adjustment that for you, or that you saw other rookies kind of having to deal with, what do you feel like that was?
I think just how long the weeks are out there, because you get on site typically Monday, especially when you do have a bunch of weeks in a row, where Monday is always my travel day. But the tournament doesn't start until Friday. Right. So you have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday just to practice and prep, where in college and amateur golf, you're typically traveling the day before your practice round. You play one practice round and then you play. Right. And so it's a lot more downtime and a lot of time to just manage practice, fitness, and just what to do to get ready for the tournament.
Right, for sure. So now that we know how many miles you had to travel and kind of the time management stuff, I think this speaks well to everybody listening who travels for work, or who has ever told me or any other person, I just don't have time to work out. Like, I'm on the road. I don't have equipment. Like, how did you manage? I know you did this, but this is for the listeners. How did you manage kind of figuring out finding gyms or finding equipment? How did you manage? How did your fitness routine change from, obviously the first half of the year you're in school, and then now all of a sudden you're in the Wild West of professional, women's golf, and we're sitting here in the fall, and so obviously I know where you're working out. I actually just pulled her out of the gym and said, "Hey, come on, you're gonna come be on the podcast." But like, how did you manage that on the road?
So fortunately, Epson does set us up with a gym most weeks. It's not necessarily always the best. So every now and then I did have to go and try and find another local gym. And fortunately, my dad is a big gym rat. So I've gotten used to being able to find gyms in the area that do fit the standards for my workouts. But even then, I mean, given some of the places we go, it is managing the workout to fit what is available. And then, I mean, on top of it, it is just kind of figuring out what works best for me during a tournament week. So usually I know that Tuesday I'm going to do my most intensive lift so that I'm not as sore on Friday. Correct. If I do that Thursday, then maybe it's affecting my performance.
Right, for sure.
And so I definitely taper the workouts towards the start of the tournament.
So you're going heavy 3 days before T day or D day, I guess, right? Then you got kind of 2 days to recover, and then you're tapering your Wednesday and your Thursday to be ready to go perform Friday. Yeah,
and then I mean, if I do miss a cut, usually Sunday will be another heavy day as well.
Angry workout.
Yep, a little bit of an angry workout, and just heavy day. Just make sure that I get that in, and then the following week I know, okay, Tuesday I can do maybe a heavy day if I want to, but I already got in that heavy day for the week.
Cool. Well, so what I'd like to do, I want to change gears because you have a unique medical history of having the hip surgeries when you were still in high school. And there's a lot of people listening. I can already picture you got a 55, 65-year-old guy listening and like, oh, this young chick, she's whatever. But she literally had to go through 2 hip surgeries, and I had to rehab her. I mean, so, all the pity should be for me that I had to hang out with her that much now. But what was that like going through the rehab process, and then just kind of speaking to other people who actually, we have another gentleman out there who's getting his knee literally like goes 45 degrees and he's getting that fixed Monday. He's super excited to have that fixed. But like, so he's obviously got the recovery process ahead of him. But speaking to everybody who either maybe has a recovery process coming, maybe they had one that didn't go well, like what was yours like? What did you find was tough mentally about it, especially as a teenager? And what did you find kind of was helpful for you to get back to golf, some of the more important things for you?
Yeah, so I think one of the hardest things mentally for me was, not being able to play my senior year of high school, basically, because I had my first one the summer following my junior year, and then I had my second one in the spring of senior year. And actually, it was the moment that I got 100% that the second hip blew.
I'll never forget that.
It was
walking down the hall in school. You should tell that story. I feel like that would be an entertaining story.
Well, so I fully recovered from my first one, and I'm
like, now I know she's got the other hip. And I'm like as the provider, I'm like, oh, thank God. All right, we got through that. Good to go. Green light.
And so I'm fully back playing in tournaments. And one day I'm at school and I walk out to my car, end of day, and I just go to, just throw my backpack off my shoulder into my back seat just to drive home to go practice. And I pivot on my left hip, which was my good hip at the time, and pivot on it, turn it, and I just go, oh no. I sit down in my car and I go, oh no, my second hip just blew. I need to go get surgery again. And I think I saw you the next day and I'm like, is it actually really happening again?
Yeah, it was. So, and it was the femoral acetabular impingement, or FAI. So that was the labrum that she felt kind of go. But yeah, I mean, literally, I think this is the crazy thing when you have anatomical stuff that you're just kind of waiting for it to go. Like you were squatting, you were deadlifting, you were playing golf, and then literally just turning to your car. I'll never forget when you came in, you're just like, so Chris, I was walking and I think I did the other one. I was like, what do you mean? No. Then we tested it and I was like, oh, yep. Okay. I think we did. So I was going to get the other one done. But so then so obviously the mental, that had to be tough for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was just tough because fortunately, the college coach that recruited me, it was not the one that I ended up playing for, but the one that recruited me was great about just me going through the surgeries, and just she knew that I was going to get back on track. So that made it.
I remember saying, she's recovering faster than anyone I've ever seen, stronger.
Yeah, I always remembered sending the text being like, oh, I'm doing great. The recovery is going awesome.
So rule one of recovery, guys, if you're being recruited, lie to the coach. Not condoning that. Just kidding.
But so that gave me a lot of comfort knowing that my spot on the team was safe. And so it really was just the battle of, okay, I want to do everything possible so 5-10 years down the road, I'm still able to play and this not be an issue for me.
So longevity was like first and foremost in your mind. That's just so that is incredibly old for your years at that time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, obviously I wanted to get back as quickly as possible, but I knew I had a college career ahead of me. I was hoping to have a pro career ahead of me, that it really was just, what can I do to make sure that these are never an issue down the road?
For sure. And then let's get into the actual details of the recovery and like the exercises, and just from your perspective, what were some of the more helpful and important kind of points of that rehab?
I mean, really it was making sure that the first, 8 weeks were basically just following protocol of just, it was,
those are really boring.
Yeah, they're really so boring.
Weeks. But follow it. It's important.
Yeah. It's basic leg lifts. Literally just lifting my leg about 3 inches off the ground. But it set me up where I was, by 8 weeks, I was in great shape to really take the next step up. And so getting back into just your basic mobility, basic just glute activation, hip flexor strength, and then slowly over time getting back into the lifts with getting back into squatting as soon as I was cleared, and just going body weight just to get the movement back, and then just building everything up from there and just making sure that the muscles around it are basically bulletproof so that it just gives so much more strength to the joint.
Yeah, I think that, obviously the first 8 weeks are just like making sure muscles are turned on and that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Super boring. Yes. Even as the therapist, you're like, especially when you have someone, I think your goal listening here, if you've had surgery, your goal is to be the client that when you go in, your therapist is like in their mind, they never say it to you, but they're like, gosh, she's fine. Oh, we'll just see her next week. Right. And you're just kind of like just checking the boxes just to make sure things are going the way they should. And then I think to me, the fun part of the rehab was the degree of detail that we were able to get to looking at like pressure mats and jumping and body, like especially we got to the layer levels. I think that's the one thing that gets missed often in rehab is you get through those first 8 weeks. It was probably 12 weeks or so, 16 weeks where the surgeon's like, yep, you're good. They kind of wipe their hands and they're like, yep, you're good to go back. And then you come to me, you're like, I'm good now. And I'm like, nope. Let's see you jump. And then you go and you jump and like 80% of your weight's on the non recently operated one. You're like, hey, remember when that one was your bad one? Well, now that one's really good. We got to get this new one that you just had repaired really good. And so I think that's where you start to look at higher level testing, right? And you because you look at the golf swing, especially, I mean, you're an exceptional exception to this. You put so much force through the ground so fast. Like, it's cool if you can do a leg lift correctly and you can walk fine. But if you're putting 3x body weight into the ground in force and you're doing it at incredible velocities, like things are a little different. And I think you saw that, right? When you're like, hey, let's see you jump on a 12-inch box and land, take off equally, land equally. And it was like, check, great. Okay, cool. Now let's see you do that on an 18-inch box. And it went like 80-20, right? Or the landing, absorbing the force, which was harder. So, and I think, and then we got into rotary jumps and, and you could do it one way and you couldn't do it the other way. And, throws, planting on the lead foot. I think those are parts of the rehab process that most people, I mean, Lord knows orthopedic surgeons aren't telling you they have to do that because, insurance will pay for you once you're not pain free. But in order to get back to the level that you wanted to play at and the level that you're currently playing at, I mean, those were very, very important things that you needed to do. So let's kind of fast forward to this year. You're playing on tour, you're traveling all over the place, you're finding gyms wherever you can that meet your dad's standards. I know your dad, good friend. He'd be very proud. And he also he plays the fours because I do find those Virginia balls in the woods. And I now know to bring them to him and not to you.
Yep.
To give him
you did text me about that and gave me a hard time. And I'm like, nope, that was definitely not me.
Yeah. So I went back, I gave it to Kevin. I said, Kevin, I now know these are yours. But so now you're going into your first professional off season. Like, where is your mind at? What are you working on to get ready, going through the winter season and from here? Yeah.
So I think, definitely just getting my strength levels up even more. Just because, the season's so long that even by the end of this half season, I could definitely, even though I was doing what I needed to, it's just, it really wears on you that really getting in super good shape this off season, I know will prepare me for the length of the season. And then I think just really the thing I noticed most this year was how much every single shot matters. And so it's really all the incremental improvements that can be made. And so just really trying to see dive into which areas of my game can use those just quarter shot jumps. And those over the course of the year makes such a big difference.
100% they do. Yeah. And I think for everyone listening, I really want to stress what Riley just said there. And that's even in a half season. Now, this is a woman who, what do you squat right now?
170.
She squats 170, which is more than she weighs. You deadlift what?
265.
265, which is more than most of you listening. Bench pressing
140.
140. And this is someone this is probably the weakest you've been, I'm assuming, in probably 6 months, just because you had the whole season.
Yeah.
Right. So, but those are phenomenal numbers, especially for a woman. And somebody in that good of shape in 5 months is feeling worn down, and she's still working out during the season, and that's because of neural fatigue, and that happens to everybody. So for all of you out there who are like, oh, I'm just going to do the workout in the off season and then I'll be fine in season, that is the biggest load of BS, the biggest false belief you could possibly have. You have to keep it going, and just I want to stress that the players at the highest of high levels, they are still doing it, and because they know that if they don't, that drop is going to be even more. And talking about the incremental gains and whatnot, that applies in the physical side too. So, but I don't want to keep you too long. I've already pulled you from your workouts. I want you to get back to that. But where can everybody listening? Where can they follow you? Because I know you're definitely one of the more exciting players just because of the length. You guys have to check out. I think one of what was it, the junior? Where did you hit the 300-yard drive that went through the fairway OB and it cost you the hole? It was a sad story, but it was was it the girls junior?
I don't even remember that one.
See, athletes have good short-term memory. I remember you came back, you ended up, it was a playoff hole or something, and you had a caddy who didn't think you could clear it through.
Oh, it was my U.S. Women's Open qualifier.
Yes, that's what it was.
Into the water.
Yeah, into the water. He's like, oh yeah, you're good. Just hit it straight out there. And she hits it 315 into the water. He's like, oh, oops. Just nutted it. But so super exciting player to watch. Where can people follow you, follow your career as you're going?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Riley_Smyth. And I mean, that's my main social media.
Prime social. So, all right. So we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. And sounds like she's got room on the hat and shirt. Anyone out there who's looking to get their brand out, I can certainly attest to the integrity and just how awesome of a human she is. And she does need money to keep paying me on the golf course. The occasional 1 out of 10 times that I win. So, maybe 1 out of 20. I don't know. But anyway, Riley, thank you so much for coming on today. And really just appreciate you taking the time out of your workout and just in general to hang with us.
Of course. Thanks for everything that you've done for me. And thanks for having me on this today.
My pleasure. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. And hopefully you got a lot out of that, and catch you on the next episode.